So I'm still trying to process everything that happened in Chapter 4 of Two Blue Vortex. Sasuke was finally revealed to be alive, Boruto used the flying Raijin, and a popular theory was finally confirmed as we saw Kashin Koji working with Boruto. But those weren't the only crazy events of the chapter, because we were also introduced to these people. Now first and foremost, these are some wild designs. I know a lot of people aren't big fans of the designs, and I get it. But if they can prove to be well-written and very threatening villains, I'd be fine with it. And so far, it looks like they will be. But let's back up a little bit. These guys are clones of people who fell victim to the claw grimes, and as we've seen, their real bodies are trapped inside of trees. Now, of course, they're no ordinary trees. They're likely mini versions of the divine tree to some extent. As we saw in Sasuke's case, you can't just break the tree down and free him. If it were that easy, Boruto probably would have done it by now. So the logical conclusion is these clones need to be taken down, and maybe then whoever's stuck in the tree could possibly be freed. The only problem with that is these clones are really strong. Boruto was struggling against one of them, and to be honest, it was probably the weakest one. The truth is, we kind of know what to expect for 2 out of the 4 clones because we know who they are. The first one Boruto fought against was the clone of Bug. He's the guy who worked where Ada and Damon were being held back in part 1. Pretty cool that they brought him back for the time skip, but I just don't see his clone being one of the stronger ones compared to the other 3 that are likely based off of more important characters. And the second clone that we know of is of course Sasuke Uchiha. As we saw in the chapter, his clone is very powerful, and if its moveset is based off of Sasuke's, it'll have a lot of potential for some dangerous attacks. So those 2 are the clones we know about, but what about the other 2? Theories are already floating around about who these guys are. Starting with her, some people argue this is a clone of Delta, which kinda makes sense, but another character that people are saying that this clone could possibly be is Moegi, the sensei for Team 10. I know that Moegi seems kind of random, but there is some merit to this claim. I mean, first of all, they look alike. Whatever's protruding out of the clone's head looks exactly like Moegi's hairstyle, but the clone also used pretty much the same jutsu we saw Moegi use on Amado. If you ask me, I wouldn't be too surprised if the clone did end up being Moegi, but with where the story's going now, it kind of seems a little random. I think Delta being the clone is just way less random than Moegi. Also in the chapter, the clone kind of flames code, and that's very much something that Delta would do. So yeah, Moegi being one of these new 4 villains seems straight out of left field for me, so I'm kind of leaning towards Delta, but at the same time, I'm not even all convinced on Delta. It could be a different character, but we just have to wait and see for now. But anyways, that leaves us with this guy. This clone already just seems like the strongest one just from his aura. I mean, this guy's got some swag. He seems like the type of guy you wouldn't want to mess with. Most people I've seen on the internet are saying that this is Jigen, and I mean, that's the obvious answer. I can't really think of anyone else this could be. He even kind of looks like Jigen, or I guess Ishiki, but how could there be a Jigen clone if we saw Jigen's body disintegrate? We know these clones are based off of the original bodies stuck inside of the trees, so if this clone really is of Jigen, what's inside of the tree? Because again, it can't be his body. My only explanation is that whoever made these clones poked around the old Kara hideout and found a decent amount of Jigen's DNA. And that's what's inside of the tree making the clone. We know Amado biologically engineered everyone in Kara, which probably means that there's a part of Jigen laying around somewhere in the hideout. I was thinking maybe an arm or a leg, but that probably wouldn't be enough to yield an entire clone. So instead I'm thinking of a spare heart or brain. We've seen Amado use a spare heart on a different subject before, so him having one for Jigen doesn't seem unlikely. The same thing goes for a heart. Or maybe this all has something to do with the weird stomach situation that Jigen had going on. Who really knows at the end of the day? If this clone really is of Jigen, I'm curious to see how it gets explained because again, Jigen's body was disintegrated Thanos style. But yeah, we have a clone of Bug and Sasuke for sure. Then this one is either Moegi or Delta or maybe even someone else. And the last one might be Jigen. We'll find out eventually. Only time will tell. But let me know what you think. Do you have any theories about these 4? What about the 2 who we don't know? Let me know if you're liking Boruto Two Blue Vortex so far. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next video.